Thank you for watching this video about how to make mushroom mac and cheese. This recipe was designed with teamwork in mind, so that one child or younger helper and one adult can work together to make it. Keep watching to learn more. There are a few things that you should do before you start to cook. The first is to clean any cooking surfaces that will be used. This might include things like worktops, cutting boards, anything that would touch the food that you're going to eat. If they're not cleaned properly, bacteria could spread to foods and make you sick. The second thing you should do is tie your hair back away from your face. If it's not tied back, you might be more likely to touch your hair and it might fall into food. If you touch your hair and then touch food while you're cooking, you can spread bacteria to food. Long hair can also get caught in kitchen tools or burned. The last thing that you should do is to wash your hands for 20 seconds, which is close to around the time it takes to sing happy birthday 2 times. Once you do those 3 things, you should then make sure that you have your recipe on hand to guide you. A recipe is a set of instructions for preparing a particular dish, including a list of the ingredients. There are a few ingredients that you need to make this recipe. Ingredients are the foods, herbs, or spices that we need to combine to make a dish. The ingredients we need for this dish include 16 ounces of button mushrooms, 1.5 cups of dried elbow macaroni, 6 ounces of Velveeta cheese, 4 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese, and 3/4 cup of 1% milk. Most of the equipment that you will need is shown on screen. This list includes a child-safe knife, a mushroom brush, a box grater, a stovetop burner, a large pot, measuring cups including 1 cup liquid, 1 cup dry, and a 1/2 cup dry, a large microwave-safe bowl, a microwave, a whisk, a strainer, a wooden spoon, and bowls and forks for serving. Like you saw in the equipment list, you will need dry measuring cups and liquid measuring cups. There's a few differences between these two types. On the right side, you'll see dry measuring cups. Those are those blue ones. They're designed to measure dry ingredients like spices, shredded cheeses, flour, pasta, or berries. They hold the exact amount of ingredient and should be leveled off with a flat edge. The hand demonstrates it in the video, but you could also use a spatula or a butter knife to level off that edge. On the left side of the screen, you'll see liquid measuring cups. These are designed to measure liquids like water, oil, and milk. They're usually glass or plastic with a handle, and sometimes they have a spout. They allow you to pour liquid into the cup and bring it even with a measurement line without spilling. Now you know the differences between the dry measuring cups and the liquid measuring cups. The first step is for our younger helper, and it is to clean off all the mushrooms. You can do this using a mushroom brush, but if you don't have a mushroom brush, you can use a paper towel as well. First, give your mushrooms a quick rinse, and then use your tool to brush off any dirt that you see on the mushroom. We don't want dirty mushrooms on our mac and cheese. Keep going until the mushroom looks nice and clean and there's no more dirt to brush off. Look them over. Once they're done, add them to the bowl and keep going. The next step is to cut our mushrooms into slices. We'll use a child-safe knife and a cutting board, or a paper plate if you don't have a cutting board. We'll learn a few knife safety techniques, including this one called the bridge. Our fingers go over the vegetables and the knife goes in between the fingers. This prevents our fingers from getting near the knife and potentially getting cut. Next is the claw. See how we curl our fingertips under when we hold the vegetable? If our fingertips were flat, the knife might cut them more easily. This keeps them away from the knife. It's important to cut a round vegetable like a mushroom because otherwise it might roll around on the cutting board when we start cutting it, so giving it a nice cut in half at the beginning helps us. Now that all our mushrooms are cut into slices, we're going to gather them up and put them in a microwave-safe bowl. It's important to use a microwave-safe bowl because otherwise when it gets in the microwave it might start to get really hot or even melt. Next, still our younger helper, take your mushrooms over to the microwave, open up your microwave, and pop your mushrooms in there. Once the mushrooms are inside the microwave, set your microwave to cook on high for 3 minutes. This next step is for the adult. Remove the bowl from the microwave and set down on the counter. Give the mushrooms a nice stir using a large wooden spoon or any mixing spoon. Careful, the bowl might be hot. Now, the adult will take the mushrooms back to the microwave and cook for an additional 3 minutes. We ask the adult to do this because the bowl might be hot and you might even need a little oven mitt to protect yourself. So cook for another 3 minutes or until the mushrooms are cooked through. Now that the mushrooms are cooked, the adult will strain them over the strainer into the sink. So get rid of all that liquid. It helps to put the strainer in the sink before you take the mushrooms out. Next, our younger helper will grate the sharp cheddar cheese using a box grater. Grating is when you make small pieces of a food by rubbing it on something, like a box grater. Put the grater over a bowl and get started. Slow and steady wins the race here. Go slow enough that you don't cut your fingers by rubbing them against the grater. Try to keep your fingers tucked under so that you don't cut yourself. As the piece of cheese gets really small, you might need an adult to help finish grating. Once you're finished, measure out 1 cup using the dry measuring cup of the shredded cheese and set aside. Next, the adult will fill a large pot with water, put it onto the stove burner, and turn on the stove burner. And now wait till this boils. Now our younger helper will measure out the dried elbow macaroni. Use a 1/2 cup measuring cup and fill it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. That gives you 1½ cups. You could also fill 1 cup, and then 1/2 cup would also equal 1½ cups of pasta. Once your pasta water is boiling like in the video, the adult will add in that pasta that you just measured. You'll cook this for 8 minutes. Sometimes it's helpful to give the pasta a stir so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. Now that our pasta is cooking, it's time to cut our Velveeta cheese into cubes. Cutting it into cubes will make it easier to melt later on. In the video, you see slices of Velveeta cheese being cut into cubes using scissors. There's a few ways you could approach this though. If you have a block of cheese instead of slices, you can use a knife to cut it into cubes. Use those same knife safety techniques that we learned earlier in the video, like the bridge and the claw. If you do choose to cut slices using scissors, make sure that your scissors are cleaned and sanitized before using. To clean them, wash them using hot water and soap, and to sanitize them, make sure that you put rubbing alcohol on paper towels and then rub that on the scissor blades. Allow it to dry and then it'll be clean. Either way, once you cut all of your cheese into cubes, add it to a microwave-safe bowl. This is important so that the bowl doesn't get hot or maybe even melt in the microwave. Now our younger helper will grab our liquid measuring cup and you'll fill it with milk to the 3/4 cup line. You see the line there that says 3/4 of a cup. That's where you want to fill the milk to. And this is a liquid measuring cup, which is different from the dry measuring cup that we use to measure the pasta. So be careful you don't mix them up. Now that the Velveeta cheese is cut and the milk is measured, add the milk to that same microwave-safe bowl with the Velveeta cheese. Take the bowl with the cheese and the milk and put it in the microwave and cook for 1 minute. Essentially what we're doing here is we're making a smooth cheese sauce. So first we have to get those ingredients melting together. Cook for 1 minute. After 1 minute, the adult will remove the bowl from the microwave. Careful, it might be hot. Use a whisk to stir, moving in small circular motions. Now, put the bowl of milk and cheese back into the microwave for another minute to cook. If the bowl's too hot, you might need to use an oven mitt to protect your hands. So cook for 1 minute, and by this point it should be melted. After the adult removes the bowl from the microwave, our younger helper will whisk the sauce until smooth. After 8 minutes have passed, have the adult strain the pasta over the sink. Now that everything is cooked, it's time to mix. Add your cheese sauce to a large bowl. and then have the adult add the hot pasta that was just strained into that same bowl. Now our younger helper can add in the mushrooms and use a wooden spoon to give everything a good mix. Keep mixing until it starts to combine. The last thing to add is 1 cup of that shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Add that 1 cup in and use the wooden spoon again to mix. Keep mixing until the cheddar cheese is combined throughout and starts to melt. Once everything is all mixed and combined together, it's time to eat. Using a 1 cup measuring cup, portion out a cup of mac and cheese for you to enjoy. Use the wooden spoon to portion it into the cup. Once it's full, then you can add it to your bowl. Before you eat, make sure you give yourself a pat on the back for your hard work, and thank the adult that helped you for some awesome teamwork. Don't forget to give your creation a try and enjoy! Thanks for tuning in. You learned a lot about cooking today, including how to follow a recipe and what ingredients you need to make mushroom mac and cheese. You learned how to use a microwave to cook foods. You practiced proper and safe techniques to cut vegetables and Velveeta cheese using a knife and a pair of scissors. And you learned how to grate cheese using a box grater. Now it's your turn. A chef is someone who cooks food, and kids like you can be chefs too. Use your recipe at home to follow the steps in the demo to become a healthy helper to make your own mushroom mac and cheese with the help of an adult. Have fun!